Here's $168
$168.
worth of stick coil. So just to make Dave happy and get this just clips together here, of course. And yeah. Any dielectric grease?
Yeah, I do. Ooh, stay right there. I'm gonna cross over here, right here. I mean, you only need to buy it once. You really don't. That's about all I use. My tube's huge. Plugs all back in. You put it right there? Really? That much?
Oh yeah.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. Juice up around.
I should pull the other
juice
one.
around here too. Vaseline, something. Oh yeah, give me that back. I didn't want to do that yet. Damn it. Fuck me. Needed the tool. I don't recommend grabbing these with pliers. You fuck up the top of the stick coil. So use the tool. Now, what holds this whole assembly and makes it difficult to come out is the rubber right here. So we'll put a little, miserly little amount here. And,
This is a 25-year-old tube, by the way.
Smooch it around a bit. I'd coat all of this too, just to keep any corrosion to a minimum.
That's a good idea.
I goop the whole fucking thing. And then we stick it back on here, and this is just a test. I'm not sinking nothing yet. We're just gonna see if it starts all nice like it's supposed to. Maybe even without the, we'll give it a little bit of fake choke. Ta-da! Said I wasn't synchronizing it yet. It runs, hooray.
That was it.
Throttle body synchronization. Normally you would do this with a engine fully up to operating temperature, 4 to 5 bars on your oil temperature gauge in your rider information display. In this case, we are setting it up cold. The bike had a bad stick coil. The owner had just performed some maintenance work and was unable to get the bike to run properly because the stick coil was bad. So here I am balancing this. Cold engine to start with. So key on. Twin max on. We're using Twin max here. Zero it out. Sensitivity's on minimum to start. We're going to move it up to maximum after. Start up. Alright, go over to this thing. Move your sensitivity all the way up. We're pulling. Gonna hang it upside down. This is the right cylinder and that's the left. Maybe we zoom in a little bit here. Still see the throttle body? Alright. Normally the left side doesn't need any cable adjustment. We notice we're pulling to this side. If I lift the cable, it balances to the other. I'm going to move the adjustment pocket up just a slight turn, and that's going to balance out even. screwed it back in because we're you always want to make sure in the back of the bell crank there's a tab. Pull down with your fingers. If you move up, you'll feel it if you move the throttle. It drops down. Hold it down. Grab the throttle cable above the adjustment pocket and lift up and down. You have to have 1 millimeter of free play. This is the adjustment pocket. You need a 10 millimeter wrench to loosen the lock nut. And then as you screw it, looking down upon it counterclockwise, it lifts the cable, which takes away your free play. If you screw it down, it adds free play to the cable. You must have 1 millimeter of free play. A little more is okay, if that's what it calls for. But never less, or you will wear out the bushings in this throttle body shaft for the butterfly. So holding the stop of the bell crank down, lift up on this cable, and you need 1 millimeter of free play here. So measure from the top of the knurled barrel adjuster to the collar of the metal end of the cable. How much that goes up and down. I got about 3 millimeters there. I'm gonna leave it loose, and I'm gonna loosen the other side so I can do something here. This is the left side. Oftentimes you'll find that there's a paint mark on here. Set at the factory. Oops. That's not a big deal. There's another screw on here that's set with blue Loctite. Don't fuck with that one. That's set on a flow bench. This, nothing to do. This could be adjusted. You would change that when you change the throttle cable anyway. So same deal. Hold the bell crank down and lift the cable, which in this case I can't show you. It's tight on this side. You know, even from the factory, hey, it's tight. So maybe this is one of those bikes that never quite ran so special. Happens sometimes. So we loosen the jam nut. We're gonna screw that knurled barrel adjuster clockwise looking down upon it so it gives us more free play. I gotta loosen the lock nut a little more than that. There we go. Now we have some cable free play. Now I'm gonna start the bike up and I can really adjust the idle circuit, which is done by air screw on each side. Key on. Actually, let's move you over to the other side first. So here we are on the right side. Our twin max is zeroed. I'm going to start the engine. I'm going to adjust the air screw until this reaches where I want to be. Speaking of air screws, I'm going to take one out so we see what it looks like. That's it. It gets a little carboned up. You can wipe it down with carb cleaner if you want, or mineral spirits would be better. I usually put a little bit of Vaseline along the O-ring here, but it's not necessary. It's just what I do. It's what I do. Me MW, me my way. One, 1.5 is where our base is going to be. Same on the other side. Yeah, that's where it was. That's where I had it for. Okay, ignition on. Contact. How is our idle circuit? A little bit lumbering on this side. So, if I pull the cable up, oh, it fixes it. Hey, that's what happens when you pull the cable up too far. If you change your battery in a lot of these oil head models, you can dislodge this right throttle cable up out of the pocket, and then it runs horribly. It's the number one phone call for these things. So, start this again. Remember, our base setting was 1.5. So I'm gonna go in. That makes it worse, right? So I'm gonna go out a little bit. Hey, right about there. That's your item. Next, you're gonna adjust the throttle cables. Is this fucking circus over yet? Alright. Key on, now we adjust the cables. What happens when I turn the throttle? How's that for pretty much dead nuts on for a cold engine? It needs to go for a ride. So what am I gonna do now? Our jam nuts are loose. I gotta tighten those. So I'm gonna start this again so we can watch the Twin Max as I tighten those jam nuts and make sure this setting doesn't change. And make sure your damn choke lever is off. Ours is. So we're bouncing evenly between 1 on each side of 0. I apply throttle. It's slight advance to one side, but remember, it's cold. This is supposed to be done at operating temperature. We're nowhere near there. Let's hold my hand on the cylinder now. The only reason I snug these down is because they can move when they're test ride, and you don't want to forget. Did that affect anything? Nah, we're good. Now I'm going to tighten the other side as well. Hold the knurled nut while you're turning the hex jam nut. As I thought, that further made it even better. Turn your Twin Max off or the battery will go dead quick. Now, go suit up, take it for a test ride, which Dave is gonna get to do, his bike. And we're gonna check it again when it comes back.
Never. No hands. It wasn't doing that before.
No hands, no choke?
I had to touch it.
No hands, no choke?
No hands, no choke. Okay.
See what he thinks of that when he comes back.